Hey Rebels, what's poppin'? We're back at it again with another video. Today, get comfy with me because we're going to talk about a story time of how I moved from New York. So, and basically the reason behind me moving from New York to Georgia, and also why I got kidnapped because I was kidnapped by my mother. You feel me? So, let's get into it. I'm not going to make it too long, so you guys don't sit there and be like, oh my gosh, like she's boring, like, But no, for real, it's really actually funny. So basically, how it started, I lived in New York. I was born in New York. I lived there since I want to say the beginning of fifth grade because that's when I moved to Georgia. So basically, I moved because I got into the wrong crowd. So I had a friend, and his name is Tyrick, right? And we used to hang out all the time around the playground where I used to live. And we would just hang around, I hung with the guys because there wasn't, you really couldn't trust a lot of people. And especially with the girls back then, they was like really petty. They probably would set you up. Even being 12 years old, they would have probably set you up. It's crazy out there. So, my mom worked at Rikers Island. She was a correction officer. So I really didn't have, you know, both my parents in my house, right? So when I got home from school, I would go. Well, when I got done with school, I would go home, and I'll probably meet up with my friends, or I'd just stay at home and wait for my dad to come get me. You know, basically that on repeat. So one day, me and my boy were hanging out. Tyreek, who I was telling you about, he came to me, and I'm like, okay, like what we're about to do. He had his backpack. We're on the go. We in the streets. You feel me? We're gonna go to the corner store, go get some chips. Just hang out. So he opens his bag when we get to the corner store after we're done getting what we had to get. He opens his bag and I'm like, yo, what's in your bag? He's like, actually, this was what I was gonna give you, but I was waiting until we sat down at the park or something and chill. And I'm like, okay, so what is it? So he hands it to me. Mind you, it's a it's a rectangle like this, right? So the package is a rectangle and it's taped up and it's brown. So what do you think about when you see a brown package taped up, right? You're automatically, I know y'all watch movies, TV shows, all that stuff. You're not thinking, oh, this is a new toy. Nah, you're thinking this is that stuff. This is that. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, just open it. So I tell him, I said, please make sure this is not nothing like stupid. Don't play with me. I'm not in the mood to play, right? So I get it. And he's like, no, 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 you good. So I open it, right? And why, some stuff fell out. And I'm like, yo, are you serious right now? So I'm going off on him. I'm like, you serious right now? Did you really bring this to me? Are you trying to get me like caught up out here? Are you trying to get me killed? You're not a good friend. You're not a real friend. Like I'm done with you. So I'm going back and forth with him. And he's telling me, he's like, I have no choice. I have no choice. I got in some trouble, down the block. Dude asked me to, distribute something before, and I told him no, and he still wanted me to do it, so he kind of scared me, so I did it. And then the next time I came back from school, he handed me this and told me like I better, go ahead and distribute it before he blah 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 to me. So I'm like, oh snap. So I'm starting to feel bad for him, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I need to protect myself. So he so I told him no, I do not want it. Like I'm not helping with it. So I'm like cussing him out at this point. And he's mad and he's like, yo, you're not even a real friend. Like I'm telling you, like, I have no other choice. They will come after me, my family. I'm like, oh my goodness. Mind you, they want this 12-year-old kid to go distribute something and he only has a scooter. He don't have a car. Obviously, he don't have a car because he can't drive. But it's not like he can hop in his mom's car and be like, Mom, can you take me to this block, this block, this block? Like, I just had to hand some stuff out like it's Halloween. Like, he can't even do that. I said to him, I said, so what are you going to do? He's like, I need your help. I said, I can't help you. I said, do you know what my mom does for a living? He's like, yeah, I know. But don't say nothing, don't say nothing. I'm like, what do you mean don't say nothing? I'm not helping you. So we going back and forth. And finally I gave in because I'm just like, okay, that's my boy. I don't want nothing to happen to him. And then, if you watch like movies, they say, they come after everybody close to you. I'm close to him. So obviously they probably looking at us and watching us now, right? Because he told me. So now I'm already an accomplice. I'm like, all right, bet. So I tell him, I said, give it to me because they probably following you and they probably, watching what you're doing. I said, give it to me and I'll take it home and put it under my bed and we'll come up with a plan. You need to start thinking and strategizing of what we're going to do, to fix the situation. I'm not thinking about distributing it to anybody right now. I'm thinking about just fixing the situation. What can we say to old dude down the block and, get him off our back, So he's like, okay, thank you, Jay. I'm like, oh my goodness. So now I have it in my backpack. I have this stuff in my backpack. Mind you, I'm a 12-year-old. Obviously, nobody's going to suspect anything, but I'm a 12-year-old little girl with my little Catholic uniform on, the little dress and the stockings, everything, walking around a backpack full of brown bricks. Like, it's crazy. So, and it's only one. So I get to the house or whatever, or the apartment, whatever, and I put it under my bed. Mind you, I opened it when I was with him, so something had came out. So I'm already tripping because I'm like, hey, now I'm losing stuff. They're gonna add that to what they need to get back. If you want to say wave left as I am right now, you understand what I'm talking about. But so I go and hide it under my bed, and my mom comes home from work and she's looking at me, we're eating dinner, and I'm not the same. Obviously she knows me, I'm a kid, so my face is all frowned and I look like I'm about to cry and just lose it. And so my mom, she's asking me like, what's wrong? I'm telling her nothing's wrong, bad day at school, nothing's wrong. She's like, she doesn't believe me. So I'm just like, oh, if she asks me this question one more time, I'm gonna explode and I might just like start crying and show no one that I can tell her. I try to hold it in, take a deep breath. She asked me one more time, and I tell you, the waterworks flew out. I was bawling my eyes out. I'm like, Mom, they gonna come after me, they gonna kill me and my friend Tyreek, and I just want to live, and like it was crazy. I don't know, I'm crying. See, look, my eyes are already watering up now because it brings back memories. Oh my God, I'm really watering up. Okay, so, okay, so yeah, so my mom is talking to me. She's like, "Who gave you this?" Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Mom, Tyreek, don't be mad, but Tyreek gave it to me. He's in trouble. He asked me for help. He already put me into it, so then I had to think quick." And I was telling him no, but I already felt like I was in it already, so I had to take it. And I told him we'll come up with a plan after. And she's like, a plan? She's like, no, you need to tell him he needs to come tonight and he needs to bring his tail over here and he needs to pick this crap up and dip and leave you alone. And I'm like, no, I don't want nothing to happen to Tyreek or whatever. And she's like, I don't give a what happens to Tyreek. I give her what happens to you. Like, you're my child. So she's telling me that, and I'm crying. She's giving me a hug, and she's also mad at the same time. So she calls my dad, tells him he live in Manhattan, so he's not far from us. So she's telling him everything, and he's pissed. And I'm like, oh my God, not you told my dad. And I think my dad's about to go get Tyreek before anybody. Shoot, the bad guys can't even get him. My dad's gonna get him first. So, because I'm the baby. So he comes back over. I call him. He comes back over. Back then they had like the sidekicks and the thing. I didn't get the sidekick, but I had like the Boost mobile phone. So he had his phone. I called him. I'm like, yo, you have to come like ASAP. My mom, she found out. She knows, and he's like, what? You told her? I said I had no choice. She found out. She could look at my face, and I'm crying and blah blah blah. So he's like, oh my God, I'm so scared. So he comes to the crib, and my mom's there. My mom lets him in, and my mom's like angry, and I'm like, oh my gosh, have you ever seen my mom angry? Like, I was nervous for him. So she's going off for him, and then finally, like, he starts crying. When little boys and like guys, they cry, it's something serious. So he's crying, and my mom, she's like, we're gonna figure this out, but you gotta leave and you gotta take that and you gotta tell your parents. And he's like, I can't tell my parents, like, I'm gonna get in trouble and they're gonna kick me out, and like, you don't understand how my life is, and blah blah blah. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So my mom's like, well, you're gonna have to figure it out and tell them So he picks it up, he takes it. So mind you, the next day we go to school, right? Because it's still the week of school. Next day we go to school. I go to PS 133. He goes to PS 132. He comes to my school, shows up, texts me, and he's like, "Yo, I'm outside. Whatever, come." So I come to the door. I couldn't leave because obviously I would get in trouble, and I'm at a Catholic school. You're bugging. So he's right there. He's telling me, like, okay, they know something's up. They wanted me to start today, and they're on me, and they're talking about they're coming after me and my family if I don't, distribute this stuff and get it out. So I'm like, okay. So now I'm freaking out, and I'm like, did they see us together? And he's like, I don't know, but they already threatened me and like the people close to me. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So now I'm freaking out. So I tell him, okay, we'll figure out. I got to go back to class, or there's going to be a problem. So I go back to class. And I actually asked to go use the restroom, and I go use the restroom, and I call my mom, and I tell her. She flies. She tells work. She's like, I gotta go. My daughter is, in trouble. She flies back home, so she takes me out of school. Everything. We're talking. We're making up a plan. Then Tyrek calls me. He's like, they told him they'll give him a week because obviously he's 12. Like, what is he gonna do? He doesn't know people like that. So they told him you have a week to, distribute this, get this out, and give you, my money or whatever, or it's wraps. So they don't play. And I'm in the Bronx. They don't play. So I'm like, oh, Lord. So I tell my mom what he told me. And my mom's like, I bet. So we got a week. My mom calls the moving, told the company, the moving truck company. She calls all of them. She sets all that up. She said, I'm going to deal with the apartment there after or whatever. They don't know where I live yet. So it's okay. So the moving truck comes, I think, like a day after. And we're packing all our stuff up, moving it. By that time, Friday, because my mom already seen Georgia before she came to visit her friends like 2 times. By that time, Friday, we was on the truck and gone. When I tell you, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're literally taking me away from my whole life. Mind you, she didn't tell my dad. She didn't tell nobody. She didn't tell anyone that we was leaving because she said they would either tell somebody or they would try to stop us. So my mom, she didn't tell anyone. Hence why I say she kidnapped me. And we ended up coming to Georgia. We finally got there. I knew I hated it from when I touched down. I did not like Georgia. I still don't. And yeah, so that's really basically how it all kind of came to like where I am now. And I mean, I still talk to him. He didn't get in trouble. Like, I mean, he found a way to, I don't know, him and his parents or whatever found a way to discuss it with them to get it where I guess he didn't have to distribute it. So they figured that out. I never asked any questions. I did not want to know. My mom told me not to ask any questions. And, we're cool to this day, but he had to go into like a lot of therapy. It was bad for him. And to this day, he hasn't been the same, especially since I just picked up and left. He always felt like I was a traitor or like I left him in the back. And I'm like, what do you think I can do? I'm only 12 years old. My mom is the one who kidnapped me and moved me. I didn't say, oh yeah, let's come to sweet old Georgia. Like, I didn't do that. I would have stayed in New York. So that basically is why we moved. And yeah, basically all of that was a lie. I just wanted, you guys to it was a lie. Like, every last thing I just said was a lie. Other than my mom kidnapped me. My mom did kidnap me and took me to Georgia. Because I would have never chose Georgia at all. But I watched too much Power. Obviously, if you correlated Tyrek and Tyreek, the same people. He rides a scooter. Tyrek is on a bike or he walks, whatever. Bro. But yeah, if y'all want the real story of why I moved to Georgia, I'll give it to you guys. It'll be quick. It's a good story, actually. That one's a good story. It's not as funny. Well, maybe y'all will laugh, but I don't think it's that funny. I think it's actually kind of sad. You might cry. But yeah, this was my story time of why I moved to Georgia from New York, and it was all a lie. It was all a dream. Hey, all right, I'm out. See you guys.
Me tiene loco en la cabeza cuando me tocas. Siento que todo está bien, pero